So what we're going to be doing here is pulling some cables through a conduit. We already have a piece of pull string inside the conduit. We've placed it there from our last cable pull. By the way, you always want to leave a piece of pull string in the conduit after you're done doing the cable pull. So what we're doing here is we're going to take this pull string, attach it onto the two cables we're pulling through the conduit, and of course we want to attach a new length of pull string to the end of that, so that as we pull the new wires through and pull the old pull string out, we're pulling new pull string in behind it. Now what I want to do in this video is talk briefly about how we are to attach the pull string to the cables. There's a temptation just to lay this along the side and take a lot of electrical tape and go around it like that, thinking, okay, I've got it nice and secure. That never works out as well as you might think. We need something better than that. Because what will happen is when you got all the tape grouped up in there, not only does the tape make a larger diameter pull through and it binds up on things, but the adhesiveness of the tape really isn't that good on the pull string, and the pull string will simply pull right out. And then you're left with a partially pulled cable, and you've lost your pull string too. So here's what I'd like to show you. It's a very simple trick. I found this to be extremely effective. It works in conjunction with tape, but the tape only merely holds the pull string in place. It doesn't actually take any of the bearing force. So Michael, go ahead and bring the tape over here. What I'm going to do first is simply lay that down and do a simple loop like this.
So we're good to go on these two.
So go ahead and put a quick loop of tape on that. No more than 2 wraps. And just pull it off and break it. Cool. All right. So I'm going to continue down doing the same technique. Simply laying the string alongside the cable like this. So go ahead and put a wrap of tape right there. Another one right there. And notice the way these knots work. The more tension you put on the string, the tighter the noose gets on the cable. You will not slip off the cable. You will break the string before this will slip free. Also notice the minimal amount of tape we used. The small amount of tape, 1 or 2 wraps at most, is not enough to bind up on anything in the conduit, but it is enough to hold the string in place, so now we don't have to worry about these nooses coming loose. Once we put tension on it, everything's going to tighten up very tight. We'll have a great pulling configuration. A couple more things we need to do before we're done. One is to take some more tape up here. I want to make sure we don't have these loose ends of the wires sticking out there ready to catch on something. So we're going to take some tape here and basically wrap a cone-shaped entrance to our pulling arrangement. So right there, just start right there where we left off on our tape, and then just wrap tape going on to your left, Michael. There you go, perfect. Notice how that tidies up the end of the cable. So now as we pull it through the conduit, there's no protrusions to hang up on anything. Yeah, one more wrap and call it good. So now, there's nothing here that's going to, or very little here, to hang up on any protrusions inside the conduit. So this is going to be about as good as we can get for pulling that through. At the end, one more detail. Remember I said we want to take our new length of pulling string and pull it in right behind it. So I'm going to tie it on to the old length of pull string right here. Simple square knot. I get my knots right. There we go. And just for fun, we'll wrap a tape around that. 1 or 2 wraps is all we need. And now we're ready to pull wire. Notice we have the cables on the spools with a piece of conduit through there, so these can rotate very easily. No one has to worry about holding them off the ground. What we do need to do, though, is have a person over here feeding the wires through, and once they're fed through, we'll have another person at the other end pulling, and so a conjunction of one person pushing and one person pulling is going to help us get these wires through. Now, you're not going to be able to push your way through, 50 feet of conduit, but it's amazing how helpful just a little bit of pushing action on the entrance end goes in speeding up the pulling process on the other end. You'll see if the person who's pushing takes their hands off and stops pushing, the guy who's pulling is going to have a hard time working it through. Just a little bit of help on the pushing end greatly enhances the job on the other end of pulling. So there we are. We're all set to do our wire pull.
Very nice.